morning, everyone. The hour of 10 a.m. having arrived, I now call the House State Government Committee to order. We will ask our Executive Director, Nick Heimbaugh, to please take the roll, attendance roll.
Chairwoman Hill Evans.
Here.
Representative Boyd.
Here, designation.
Representative Brennan.
Designation.
Representative Gergely.
Designation.
Representative Genst.
Here.
Representative Howard.
Designation.
Representative Kenyatta.
Designation.
Representative Probst.
Designation.
Representative Sanchez.
Here.
Representative Schusterman. Representative Siegel.
Designation.
Representative Waxman.
Here.
My designation.
Designation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Representative Webster. Representative Young. Great. Chairman Roy.
Here.
Representative Bonsa. Representative Barton. Representative Bonner. Representative Devanzo.
By designation.
Representative Fink. Oh, great. Representative Kiefer.
By designation.
Representative Miller. Representative Schemmel. Representative Schmidt. And Representative Stats.
By designation.
We have a quorum.
Okay, and I would acknowledge that Representative Waxman has walked in and joined us, so he is here physically. So we have a quorum. Thank you. Having established the presence of a quorum, the committee is in order to proceed with business. Moving to the first item on committee's agenda, the committee will consider House Bill 2353 by Representative Khan. Nick, if you would give us a brief.
House Bill 2353 by Representative Khan provides for civil liability for fraudulent misrepresentation of a candidate with willful or reckless disregard for dissemination of a campaign advertisement that contains an artificially generated impersonation of a current or former candidate for public office with the intent to misrepresent the words, actions, or beliefs of that current or former candidate.
Okay, and we do have an amendment to this bill, so is there a motion to bring up the amendment, Amendment A05069 by Hill Evans and second by Representative Genst? Nick?
A0506 clarifies the definition of artificial intelligence, adds to definitions for covered person, generative artificial intelligence, and synthetic content. That's the nutshell.
Okay, are there any questions or discussions on the amendment? Okay, hearing none. We do have joining us Representative Khan, who's the prime sponsor of the bill. Would you like to share some comments, sir?
Sure. Thanks, Chair Hill Evans, and thanks, Chair Roy. Appreciate both of you. Appreciate being here at state government to talk about House Bill 2353. You know, as AI gets more and more advanced, it gets harder and harder to tell what's real and what's fake. And that's the intent of this bill. This bill is intended, it's very narrowly tailored, but it's intended to make sure that in campaign advertisements, that deceptive content that is generated by AI technology, such as deep fakes that are maliciously used to deceive voters, is being regulated. These are what I feel are common sense safeguards. We worked together in a bipartisan way in the House to introduce this bill, and we also have a companion bill in the Senate that's also bipartisan, led by Senator Penny Cook. And the intent of the bill is to prevent the public from deception. The amendments are actually some of the input we got from different groups, including the Shapiro administration, good government groups, and civil liberties groups to clean up the bill. And would ask for your support for this important bill. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions or discussions? Let's go back to the amendment, please. So, are there any questions or concerns with the amendment? Okay, is there a motion to, oh no, we need a roll call on the amendment, please. And also that Representative Probst has joined us.
On A05069, Chairwoman Hill Evans.
Yes.
Representative Boyd.
Yes, designation.
Representative Brennan.
Yes, designation.
Representative Gergely.
Yes, designation.
Representative Genst. Representative Howard.
Designation, yes.
Representative Kenyatta.
Designation, yes.
Representative Probst.
Yes.
Representative Sanchez. Representative Schusterman. Representative Siegel.
Designation, yes.
Representative Waxman.
Yes.
Oh, no, he's back there.
No, he's back.
Great. Representative Webster.
Yes.
Representative Young. Chairman Roy.
Yes.
Representative Bonta. Representative Barton. Representative Bonner. Representative Devanzo.
Yes by designation.
Representative Fink. Representative Kiefer.
Yes by designation.
Representative Miller. Representative Schemmel. Representative Schmidt. And Representative Stats.
Yes by designation.
The ayes have it unanimously.
Okay, and so Amendment A05069 is approved and voted yes. Now on to the bill. So the bill, House Bill 2353, is there any discussion, questions, or concerns about House Bill 2353? First, I'm sorry. Okay. First, I need a motion to bring this up for a discussion by Representative Hill Evans and second by Representative Genst. And we do have a comment from Representative Schusterman. Take it away.
I want to thank the maker of the bill for bringing this up. Prior to serving as a state legislator, I was a television producer, director, and editor. And back then, we always knew that the editing process could be used in the wrong way to deceive or to sway opinions. I kind of look at AI as editing on steroids. A lot can be manipulated and changed for maybe 5 seconds of content. So this is a step in the right direction. So that was really what I want to say. I'm a yes vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Roy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The issue of artificial intelligence is something that we're going to have to, by we, I mean the state government's going to have to address many, many things over the coming years, including campaigns. This is a very well-intended bill. We certainly don't want, fake ads that are created by artificial intelligence being on TV or on the radio or anything like that. A few observations. I believe the legislation has a 90-day period where this would apply 90 days. Now, I'm reading the Democratic bill summary. It talks about willful or reckless disregard for dissemination of campaign advertising. And I'm wondering why that would be allowed 91 days before the election, but not 90 days before the election. So if we pass this today, this passes on the House floor, the Senate does it, if this becomes law by the end of the month, for the next month, for the entire month of July until the first few days of August, it would be completely legal to use artificial intelligence, and you could completely legally, even with this new law, participate in willful or reckless disregard for dissemination of campaign advertising. So I just think that's kind of weird that we acknowledge there's a problem. A couple other concerns I have with the bill. If you don't use artificial intelligence, you could have an actor dress up to look like one of the presidential candidates and have them say stuff that the candidate didn't really say. That would be legal. But if you have artificial intelligence do the exact same thing, that would be illegal. So, we do have concerns on these bills, and for the time being, I am going to vote yes. I think some committee members may not be voting yes on our side. I'm not sure, because the intent is the right idea. We need to address this, but the bill is very, the bill needs some work. I'll just put it that way. Thank you.
Just one correction. I believe there's an error in my analysis. It is actually a 60-day effective date.
The bill effective date is 60 days, or the day that you can't have willful or reckless disregard for dissemination of campaign advertising? Pardon?
No, my correction. You are correct, sir.
So it's 90 days.
Yes.
So basically, artificial intelligence ads could basically lie for, up until 90 days before the election. Then you could not lie anymore. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead, maker of the bill.
Thank you, Chairman Roy. Those are really good points that you brought up. So the reason, just a little bit of the reason why it was 90 days. Initially, I think we had a bigger time frame, but the concern is that if you have a bill that is very broad, you get into problems with First Amendment and free speech issues. And so the thinking of making it more narrowly focused was that it would reflect sort of the blackout period and the sort of the campaign cycle. So there'll be some time when actually it's not a blackout period. I believe it's actually 60 days. So it's a little bit more broad. It's sort of trying to walk that tightrope. The other, that's basically. But I appreciate your comments, and it's sort of one of those things is trying to find that fine line and making sure that the perfect, which may be very difficult to find, is not the enemy of the good. Thank you.
Okay, would also like to acknowledge that we've been joined by Representatives Brennan, Kenyatta, Siegel, and Gergely. Thank you for joining us. Okay, and so are there any other comments or concerns with House Bill 2353? Yes, Representative Schmidt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am going to vote for the bill. I'm going to support the bill here in the committee to move it out of the committee. But I do have serious concerns about the constitutionality of the bill and a number of other concerns as well. But I think we need to keep in mind when it comes to something like artificial intelligence that we're now living in a world that moves at 186,000 miles a second, but we are using a legislative process that was designed in a world that moved at 3 miles per hour. And so when we have these sort of technological advances like artificial intelligence, as legislators through this process, we're always to some extent going to be playing catch up. And we have to start somewhere. And so I think this is the first artificial intelligence bill that I've been exposed to in committee and have an opportunity to vote on. So I am going to support it because I think we need to get this bill out. I think we need to get it into our respective caucuses and discuss this and have a conversation about what we're going to do about artificial intelligence. We can't put the genie back in the bottle at this point. Artificial intelligence is out there. I don't know as legislators there's anything we can do to in any way affect the development of that technology. I think all we can do is our best to try and catch up and deal with issues of the application of that technology as it evolves and advances. And I think this is a good first step for us to begin that effort and begin that conversation. And so I thank the prime sponsor for introducing this bill. And I'm glad that we're taking it up here today and having opportunity to consider it and move it forward for further consideration here in the House of Representatives. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Schmidt. Representative Barton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And likewise, I'd like to thank the maker of this bill for bringing this to our attention and getting us out on the AI floor. I'll just, your comments, the good gentleman, the prime sponsor, shared that it's hard to tell what's real and what's fake. That's not fair for people, is it? And so the other comment was deception should be regulated. Well, I would ask, and I also will support this bill out of committee because we need to move it. But I believe that deception should be, you said deception should be regulated. I'll argue it should be eliminated. And I would please ask that we work towards that in making this a wonderful bill. And I certainly respect the First Amendment points as well, but there's work that needs to be done on this. I think this is the opportunity to be a great bill. It needs work, but I'm a yes to get it out of committee, and thank you very much for bringing this forward.
Thank you. Representative Bonner?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I first had a question. Have any other states adopted this particular bill? Are we basing this bill off a model that has been developed elsewhere?
Yes, there are other states that are delving into this territory and that have proposed bills. I would defer to the executive director to see if any of those states have actually passed these bills. I can say that this bill is a great opportunity for Pennsylvania to be a leader on regulating this the malicious use of this technology. I defer to the executive director to see if he has any recollection of some of the other states with this. Thanks.
We can look into that for you and circle back right after the meeting.
I'd appreciate that because I'd like to just see the experience that other states have had with this particular language, if in fact this bill does move forward. I do have some concerns that I'll just point out that may be helpful as we move this bill forward. Under Section 3A, we talk about liability for a person if there is a possibility of influencing the election with the material that is being improperly advanced. Very seldom do we ever see a legal standard of a possible influence on an outcome. Anything is possible. So I would just indicate to the maker of the bill that the possibility of influencing an election is a very unusual standard of law in order to hold someone liable. Secondly, under Section 3B, we do allow the plaintiff to recover certain damages, including legal fees, if he prevails. But on the other hand, if he doesn't prevail, we have nothing in the bill that talks about the losing party being able to recover their legal fees if, in fact, the lawsuit is unsuccessful. So if we're going to put it on the one party, I believe we should put it on the other party if, in fact, they're not successful. Thirdly, under the same section, there is a provision there for the court to exercise prior restraint on particular political advertisements before considering the ultimate merits of the claim. And when you're dealing with political speech, I think the statute raises great concerns when you give the possibility of a court entering an order before the full outcome is heard before the court. Prior restraint on political speech is very dangerous territory. I also take issue with the size of the fines. I think they're very chilling. Unless the amendment addressed this on a per day issue, even at the local level, it's $15,000. If I'm running for borough council in some small town and I run a particular ad, I'm potentially facing a $15,000 per day fine. And usually these offices don't even pay a salary. So I think it would have a very, very chilling effect on candidates at the different levels of government. I just think that fine needs to be looked at much more carefully. And I do have some concern about the liability of the media that is set forth in the bill. I think this is putting a great onus and liability on the media if, in fact, they are not aware of the particular falsehood of the advertisement. So I just caution that we be very careful when we're looking to penalize the media under this bill. But I raise those just for your consideration as the bill goes forward. Overall, I certainly agree with the idea and the desire to regulate political speech, but it's a very treacherous territory to go into, particularly now when you're giving the courts the power to decide who's telling the truth and who's not, because that's a daily exercise within political campaigns, which there can be liability already under current law if, in fact, it's libelous or slanderous, but to get political campaigns into determining within the court systems, potentially with preliminary injunctions about who's telling the truth or not, I think is a very treacherous slope. So overall, again, I compliment you for bringing this idea forward. I can't support it today, but hopefully that day will come. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Bonner. Representative Waxman?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I rise to just support House Bill 2353. I guess a few points, which is just that the technology around artificial intelligence is moving very fast, very, very fast. And it is a technology that is almost entirely controlled by very large tech companies like Google, like Microsoft. So we have a technology with potentially revolutionary impact on our society at all levels. And we have very, very little democratic input or control over this technology. And it has the potential to not just impact, our workplaces, our elections, but so many other parts of our lives. And so this measure to me feels like a very reasonable effort to try to begin reining in this technology and to make sure that the obvious and clear negative impacts that can be seen basically just by opening your eyes are something that we try to control and get a handle here on in the General Assembly. And so I'm really grateful to the maker of this bill and really looking forward to voting for it.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? Okay, back to the sponsor.
Thank you, and thank you for all your comments. Thank you, Representative Bonner, for your comments as well. A couple things I wanted to say. First of all, happy to look at and work with you as we get to the floor to look at any amendments. One thing, a couple things I wanted to highlight is that one of the things that we did with the fines was to sort of tier them, have a tier of fines. So it was a local race versus a national race, presidential race. There's different tiers of fines so that the goal is to prevent this activity from ever happening. And I think we sort of weighed what types of fines would be implemented, and looking at civil as opposed to criminal fines, throwing people in prison for any amount of long period of time for this, we thought was sort of out of the bounds. So, but happy to sort of look at the fines. The other one thing I wanted to say was just that we worked with some of the groups, different industry groups, to make sure that there were protections in place. One of those protections is in place for media like TV, radio, internet that is sort of hosting, or if it's a broadband network that's being used, that they're not being held liable. It's sort of the people who are creating the ads maliciously that are held liable. We could take a look at that, but that was something that we had implemented in the bill. So, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or concerns before we call for the vote? Okay, so House Bill 2353 as amended. Nick, would you call the roll, please?
Chairwoman Hill Evans.
Yes.
Representative Boyd.
Designation, yes.
Representative Brennan.
Yes.
Representative Gergely. Representative Genst. Representative Howard.
Designation, yes.
Representative Kenyatta.
Yes.
Representative Probst. Representative Sanchez. Representative Schusterman. Representative Siegel.
Yes.
Representative Waxman.
Yes.
Representative Webster. Representative Young. Chairman Roy.
Yes.
Representative Bonta. Representative Barton. Representative Bonner. Representative Devanzo.
Yes by designation.
Representative Fink. Representative Kiefer.
Yes by designation.
Representative Miller. Representative Schemmel. Representative Schmidt. Representative Stats.
Yes by designation.
The ayes have it with 3 opposed.
Next on the agenda, we have Senate Bill 1138 being introduced by Chair Roy and second by Representative Banta. Nick?
Senate Bill 1138 by Senator Culver amends the Administrative Code of 1929 to reauthorize the State Geospatial Coordinating Board and make administrative adjustments to the authorizing statutes.
Okay. Chairman Roy, any comments?
Yeah, I think it's a good bill. We created this like 10 years ago or something like that, and I hadn't really thought about it much since, but I actually looked up. They are an active board. If you look, they have minutes on their website. They're an active board, so we should reauthorize it, keep it going. So I support the bill and would ask members to vote yes.
Thank you. Any other concerns, questions, comments on Senate Bill 1138? Are there any negative votes?
Did we do the motion in the second?
I did.
Okay.
We introduced it, Chair Roy
Okay.
and.
Okay,
Chair
thank you.
Banta. I mean, no. Yes, we did. Okay. Are there any negative votes on Senate Bill 1138? Okay, hearing none, Senate Bill 1138 by Senator Culver passes out of State Government Committee unanimously. Thank you all. Next on the agenda, we have, and I would like to recognize that Representative Kiefer has joined us virtually. So next up is House Resolution 323 by Chair Solomon. Nick.
House Resolution 323 designates the month of August 2024 as Civic Health Month here in Pennsylvania.
The motion to bring this forward by Representative Gentz, second by Representative Schusterman. Are there any comments? Is there anyone here on Chair Solomon's behalf to make any other comments? That's right. Chair Solomon is National Guard duty this week, so kudos to him. Thanks for his service. He's, of course, will not be here with us this week. Are there any negative
Well,
votes? I'm
oh.
sorry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I wanted to comment, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Thank you. Madam Chair, as our side has pointed out numerous times this session, we do a lot of these resolutions, and according to our count, I think there's been 50 resolutions this session. 44 of them were just completely symbolic, naming stuff, designating, different things, naming different months, different weeks. So I think some of us are going to be no on this. So some of the wording, I don't know. It's just hard to believe that if somebody has a health problem, if they start voting, they're healthier. I mean, that just doesn't seem to be. The resolution basically says when people vote, their health gets better, and it talks about things like, homelessness and hunger and stuff like that. Well, the biggest things that affect outcome for people's health, it's obesity, smoking, lack of physical activity, exercise, and the resolution mentions none of those things. So some of us are going to be a no. Thank you.
Any other comments on House Resolution 323? Okay, seeing none. Nick, take the roll.
Chairwoman Hill Evans.
Yes.
Representative Boyd.
Yes, designation?
Representative Brennan.
Yes.
Representative Gergely. Representative Genst. Representative Howard.
Designation, yes.
Representative Kenyatta.
Yes.
Representative Probst.
Designation, yes.
Representative Sanchez. Representative Schusterman. Representative Siegel.
Yes.
Representative Waxman. Representative Webster.
Yes.
And Representative Young.
Designation, yes.
Chairman Roy.
No.
Representative Bonta. Representative Barton. Representative Bonner. Representative Vonzo.
No by designation.
Representative Fink. Representative Kiefer.
No by designation.
Representative Miller. Representative Schemmel. Representative Stats.
No by designation. Did you get Schmidt?
Representative Schmidt. Great. The ayes have it. 16 yeses. Thank you.
Okay, and House Resolution 323 passes out of House State Government. And that concludes the regular agenda, but we do have other business coming before us. I have a motion by Representative Webster and seconded by Representative Schusterman to bring forward House Bill 2433 by Representative Webster. Webster, take it away.
Thanks, Madam Chairwoman. I'll start by a little preface. There's been a lot of talk in Harrisburg about making sure our elections are secure. Many of us on the committee and colleagues have attended a large number of committee hearings on that topic. And so here's something we can all do to make sure Pennsylvania's elections represent the voices of Pennsylvania voters. The scenario for this bill is very simple. Foreign citizens, foreign groups are statutorily prohibited from spending on elections in Pennsylvania and the United States. But current law allows corporations to spend money on our elections even if they are partially or fully owned by foreign entities. This loophole creates a loophole. This creates the opportunity for large-scale foreign influence on Pennsylvania elections. And I'd simply state no one and nothing should influence the outcome of Pennsylvania's elections except Pennsylvania voters. So hence, House Bill 2433, to prohibit corporations that are substantially owned by a foreign entity or an individual from making expenditures and contributions, and the technical words are, in support of the success or defeat of a candidate or ballot question. Most importantly, for all of us, I believe, by addressing deficiencies in our election finance laws, we can boost voter confidence and protect our electoral process. So in favor of integrity and fairness in PA elections, I would ask for a yes vote on House Bill 2433. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Webster. Chairman Roy, I understand you have some comments, concerns?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I have an amendment as well. Are we going to talk about the bill in general first or the amendment first?
We have the bill before us, so we'll talk about that first.
Okay. The bill is well intended. I think a lot of people want to make sure we don't have foreign influence in our elections. The wording is kind of weird. It talks about people outside of the U.S. If they own part of a company, it would be considered a foreign influence company, so that they couldn't do this. But if that person came to the United States and was just even staying in a hotel or something, if he's inside the United States, it wouldn't apply. So it seems like, it's not the real strongest thing that they're trying to accomplish. I think it's a well-intended bill, and I think, again, it's not really ready for prime time, but I think some of us might be voting yes on our side to move it out of committee as it moves through the process. And there's also some confusion about exactly what this does. I mean, currently, independent expenditures by corporations are allowed. If this passes, independent expenditures by corporations would still be allowed, regardless of whether there's foreign ownership or not. Currently, direct contributions to candidates are not allowed from corporations under current law. And with this bill, they would still not be allowed. So I'm a little confused exactly what the bill covers. Again, the general intent, maybe Representative Webster would be okay, Madam Chair, could you describe the types of expenditures that we're talking about in the legislation?
Chair Webster?
Sure. Thanks,
Or Nick.
Chairwoman. I think it should be pretty simple. We're talking about corporations that do have substantial foreign interest, and those expenditures on what we today call dark money or PACs or outside influence, like corporations or nonprofits that are deliberately established for a political purpose. Those would be prohibited. Thank you.
Nick, would you
I
like
would just add and clarify that there is on page 3, a definition for foreign investor, which includes an individual outside the United States who's not a citizen or a national of the United States and who's not lawfully admitted for permanent residence in the United States. So just to your point regarding the definitions there, I just want to clarify.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So if somebody owned, I think the bill's 5%. If somebody owned more than 5% of a company and they're a citizen of Canada, but they come here, they're not outside the USA. They're here. So they would be able to donate while they're here. have that kind of expenditure. I mean, once they go back to Canada, they would not be able to do that the way the bill is written.
I can revisit that for you, Rep, and get back to you, but our belief is that as drafted, this would prohibit anybody who is a foreign citizen and not a U.S. citizen from contributing. But we can circle back on that, and obviously, always welcome to entertain amendment language to the floor as well.
Okay, I appreciate that, because, yeah, the way that we're, and again, we haven't had that long to look at this bill. I think, when was this bill officially sunshined so the public knew that we were voting on it? It seems like it wasn't until about, Friday of last week, and today's Monday. I would, bills like this are kind of complex, and it's nice if there's time to analyze a bill, read it, do a little research, understand the bill more thoroughly. Having bills stuck on the voting session at the last minute, really makes that a challenge. So I would request that in the future, bills be, a little bit more advance notice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, and then I would like to offer the amendment, too, at that point of the meeting here.
First, we have Representative Schemmel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have not had a lot of time to look at this, but I see that there's an exception for associations. So would that be, an association would, an example, be a labor union? Labor unions are very politicized, very much engaged in political campaigns, even through their quote-unquote non-political arm, like a magazine of the union that might feature a large and very favorable section about a political candidate. So would labor unions be specially accepted from this? So foreign entities, corporations could give unlimited donations to a labor union under this bill?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that last, sir?
Oh, my question is, there's an exception for associations, and I've not reviewed this bill well, Nick. So actually, this is a genuine question. So are labor unions excluded from this? Even though they are very engaged in politics, are labor unions excluded from the bill? They would be able to receive.
They are, and all nonprofits are not covered by this. Only for-profit corporations, which labor unions would not be a for-profit corporation. So
Why not?
sorry, was that Rep. Kiefer looking to be recognized, or?
Okay. So if there are no other questions or concerns about the bill in chief, I am in receipt of an amendment by Chair Roy. I don't have the number. I don't have the information.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, the amendment is A05095.
Okay, and there's a motion by Chair Roy and seconded by Chair Banta to bring the amendment forward. Chair Roy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What the amendment does is it changes the aggregate threshold. Currently, the bill uses 5%. On the co-sponsorship memo by Representative Webster, part of it reads, it prohibits corporations that are substantially foreign-owned. 5% wouldn't really be considered substantially, but that's what the bill is. When you look in comparison, if you look at the Department of Commerce, the United States Department of Commerce, when they're figuring out the foreign direct investment of corporations, they use a 10% threshold of being foreign-owned. If you look at broadcast channels, they're heavily regulated by the federal government. They use a 20% threshold. 5% is really low. Almost any entity is going to be owned. The way stocks and stuff are traded, almost every company has some foreign owners. So what my amendment does is it changes it from 5% to 20%, which is more in line with the standards that are used for other things that are, regulated by the government in terms of foreign ownership.
Okay, are there any questions or comments on the amendment? That would be Amendment A05095. Okay. Representative Webster?
Yes, thanks, Chairwoman. I'd like to just make a couple of points on the amendment, and it sure is short and sweet. I had not seen it till this moment, and I would like the opportunity to consider the numbers that are proposed here. I will note that in the United States, the Security Exchange Commission recognizes 1% as a significant ownership stake in corporations, and that allows all kinds of things like making proposals in board meetings and other ideas. And if you think about some of our largest corporations, 1% of an Amazon or a Meta or a company like that is an enormous stake in a corporation. So having said that, I'd like to take some time to think about it, and I would recommend that we not accept the amendment. I'll be a no on the amendment itself at this time, but I would certainly look forward to sort of doing the research to understand the number that's been asked here and working with the Republican committee chair and all of that to see if there's a number we can all agree to. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Chair Roy.
Yeah, just to clarify, the amendment doesn't deal with the individual ownership, it's the aggregate. So it would change the aggregate from 5% to 20%. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Are there any other comments on the amendment? Okay, I agree with Representative Webster that we have just received this, passed out just in committee, and for that reason, I'm going to be a no to give us more chance, an opportunity to go back and look at the numbers and see how it would affect, or if it would have an effect on the bill. So I will be a no, and I will ask for the vote, call for the vote.
Chairwoman Hill Evans.
No,
Representative Boyd.
no designation.
Representative Brennan. Representative Gergely.
Said no.
Representative Genst. Representative Howard.
Designation, no.
Representative Kenyatta.
Designation, no.
Representative Probst.
Designation, no.
Representative Sanchez. Representative Schusterman. Representative Siegel. Representative Waxman. Representative Webster.
No.
And Representative Young.
Designation, no.
Chairman Roy.
Yes.
Representative Bounce. Representative Barton. Representative Bonner. Representative Devanzo.
Yes by designation.
Representative Fink. Representative Kiefer.
Yes by designation.
Representative Miller. Representative Schemmel. Representative Schmidt. And Representative Stats.
Yes by designation.
The amendment's defeated.
Okay. So House Bill 2433 passes out of state government. Oh, that was the amendment. I apologize. Yes, the amendment fails. But now back to House Bill 2433. You wanted to speak?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we do have some folks that want to speak on the bill. Representative Bonner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was actually in Canada last week, not looking for any foreign investments, but I didn't have an opportunity to study the bill, and I congratulate the maker of the bill. I think that the concept is excellent. My question, and maybe you spoke on it earlier, is how does this advance the cause of prohibiting foreign money coming into our elections with existing law already prohibiting foreign money? I just want to get a full understanding of how this further restricts foreign money coming into influence. And I'm assuming we're just talking about state elections. So if you could offer that explanation again, it would be very helpful to me. Thank you.
I'll do my best to field that for you. So current law prohibits contributions So a corporation couldn't directly contribute to like your PAC, for example, but could, spend on its own accord through other, unaffiliated means. This would prohibit any attempt to influence the election, whether it's through, making their own advertisements or spending, money on something that isn't a campaign, isn't an existing campaign PAC. This would just put a hard limit on that for foreign influence corporations to not attempt to influence the U.S. elections. So hopefully that answers as best as possible.
Just a follow-up question. So if I'm a foreign corporation and I want to give to the National Rifle Association, and I make a general contribution to a nonprofit corporation, under the citizen case, the nonprofits are not required to reveal the source of their donors. I'm assuming this doesn't at all enter into that field of regulation. So if I'm a foreign corporation, I can still get money into an election by contributing to a nonprofit corporation and then not have my identity revealed. Would that still be an accurate statement?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Schemmel?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have concerns with regard to this bill and the way that organizations are treated differently. You could have organizations that are both engaged in the same political initiative on opposite sides that would have different restrictions. And I might give an example. This is not a Pennsylvania example that I'm aware of, but the automaker Stellantis is an Italian company that has significant holdings and facilities in the United States. The labor union, I don't know what labor union represents, but probably United Auto Workers represents workers at Stellantis or Chrysler facilities in the United States. So if there were a ballot initiative, for example, that related to labor issues that could have a significant impact on that industry, the labor union could receive unlimited amounts of money from foreign sources for its general uses, which are often political, but the company that's also impacted by the same proposed referendum would not. So I have concerns about this differential. I understand the maker's intent, but I think it treats some organizations differently, and therefore I'm voting no. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Chair Roy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I kind of like a bill earlier in the meeting. I think the bill is well intended, and I think some of our members are going to vote yes just to kind of move the process along, but there's going to be other members vote no because the bill is so lacking in a lot of ways. There's just so many questions. What if there's an international union like the International Association of Teamsters? Because that's foreign members, they might not be able to have political spending, but a completely domestic union would be able to. Just questions like that, and the chair stated earlier in the meeting a few minutes ago that they just got my amendment and they haven't had time to look at it that much, so they're voting no. Well, we kind of feel that way about the whole bill, too, that it wasn't even sunshine until Friday afternoon. And just for good public policy, bills should be sunshined days and days in advance so that our constituents can, contact us and weigh in on things like this. Now, that being said, it's a well-intended bill, and part of me wants to vote yes, but another part of me wants to vote no because none of us fully understand the bill because we haven't had time to completely analyze it, but it's well-intended. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions regarding the bill? Hearing none, I'll ask Nick for the vote.
Chairwoman Hill Evans.
Yes.
Representative Boyd.
Designation yes.
Representative Brennan. Representative Gergely. Representative Genst. Representative Howard.
Designation yes.
Representative Kenyatta.
Designation yes.
Representative Probst.
Designation yes.
Representative Sanchez. Representative Schusterman.
Designation yes.
Representative Siegel. Representative Waxman. Representative Webster,
Yes.
Representative Young,
Designation yes.
Chairman Roy.
I guess I have to decide. No.
Representative Bonta. Representative Barton. Representative Bonner. Representative Devanzo.
No by designation.
Representative Fink. Representative Kiefer.
No by designation.
Representative Miller. Representative Schemmel. Representative Schmidt. And Representative Stats.
No by designation.
The ayes have it.
Okay, so House Bill 2433 passes out of committee. Is there any other business to be brought before the committee? Seeing no further business before the committee, I move that the State Government Committee meeting be adjourned. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned.